Nature provides for us in many ways, and Jacob Mole of the Peoria Park District has found a way to build a sweet business in the woods of Camp Wokanda. For about 10 years now, he and a team of volunteers have harvested maple syrup right here in our own neighborhood.
You know, we had a slow time of the year in kind of February and March for rentals, and we kind of thought to ourselves, well, what can we do to do something productive and interesting during that time? And so when I grew up in Michigan, my dad would tap our trees in the backyard. And we had about 20 trees back there they would tap, and we'd make syrup in the backyard. And so I had a very small base knowledge of how to do it, kind of in a backyard setting. And so that's kind of what we started out with the program side of it. In Central Illinois, you don't think, oh, that's a maple syrup state. You know, it's not. It's hardly ever anything in maple syrup here. So mostly, you know, it's Northeast, you know, Michigan, Wisconsin, that sort of thing. My supervisor is, you know, pretty willing to try anything. I gave him the kind of the profit and expenses, you know, and just to give him an idea. And he's like, well, that sounds all right. Let's do it and see what happens.
With an intricate tubing system throughout the camp, Jacob and his team harvest sap from the sugar maple trees, a unique setup for this part of the country.
And we use tubing on all of our trees to collect the sap. When we are tapping a tree, we would drill the hole into the tree, and then we take the tap fitting and then tap it into the tree, and then have a little hammer, small hammer, to make sure that's set in like it should be. And then the sap comes from the tap hole down the tube and then tees into the run of tubing that then goes down to the next tree. And that tank will go inside, feed the reverse osmosis machine that will take most of the water out. And then when we're ready to fire up the evaporator, it will send it from a reverse osmosis machine to our blue tank, which will feed the wood-fired evaporator.
Every 40 gallons of sap collected will undergo a reverse osmosis to remove the excess water and high heat cooking to make just 1 gallon of syrup.
It comes in this side and will actually go through the channels back and forth until it makes its way over to the other side. And so as it cooks along on this side, it'll actually be finished syrup. And so that's when we're taking it off of the evaporator at this side over here into our pre-filter set.
And this process has been a series of trial and error.
So years ago, when we first started this, we would just use these cone filters in a gravity sense, but it took forever. And so a couple years back, we upgraded to what's called a vacuum filter. The top pot right here, we're gonna pour the syrup into, and then the bottom pot, we have a vacuum hose hooked up to, and we'll turn it on to create a vacuum inside of the pot, and it will help pull the syrup through the filter very quickly. Now, we switched to that because we used to have like 3 or 4 cone filters of syrup kind of juggling it around, and it would take forever and the syrup would cool down and it wouldn't go through. Whereas this, we'll put it in and we'll turn it on and it's like 5 seconds and it's done.
But all the work is worth it when you taste the difference between this natural process and your average grocery store syrup.
You know, table syrup, as you're referring to, is just like corn syrup that's been, you know, processed and added sweeteners and flavors and whatnot. It's always interesting. We'll have kids out here on field trips, you know, and some of them are in inner city Peoria, and some of them have never tasted real maple syrup before. They just don't know table syrup, you know, and whatnot. So, you know, that's part of our field trip process, is to do a sampling. So it's always fun to see, you know, just when it hits their tongue, they're surprised and awe of how good it is.
All the profits of the Camp Wokanda maple syrup goes back to help with the maintenance of the camp.
I think for me, you know, it's nostalgic because we did it when we were kids growing up. But also it's very unique to this area, and don't know, it's just cool. This whole operation, we started from nothing essentially, and I've kind of had to engineer it all, myself. And so just being able to kind of put something this complex together and, make it the success it's become is I don't know, it's really just kind of a personal success as well as, that everyone likes it so much as well.